We will never know how many friends and family didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. We'll never know how many lives we saved because we wear masks, wash our hands, and keep our distance. We'll never know exactly who we help when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know that we did all we could to save people from a dangerous pandemic. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
office in city government that ensures that people of color and women and people with disabilities get a fair shot at contracts. So I am now the Deputy Director of Commerce, and I do that. And it is interesting because I run into all of my clients all of the time. So it's a great job. It offers me the opportunity to really, really push women and minority-owned businesses. So I am here to give advice and feedback because I've been a business owner and I work for the man. So I can give a little bit of advice about both.
That's awesome. Thank you. And we're going to have some questions for you for sure today. Mari, So I saved you last so that you can tell your story because you just started this year. You saw an opportunity and you ran with it and you blew up. So tell us about your story and how you got started. And you blew up during COVID, so let's go.
I sure did. So prior to this year, before I started, so my name is Madeline Neris Negron. Everyone calls me Mari. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm so excited because I get to talk to some amazing women. I know, Lisi, Jen, Jasmine, Iola. I don't know you yet, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you and talking and chatting it up because I know that you can help me. So I'm a newbie to the business. I've been a community outreach coordinator for years. I've done a lot of community outreach, community work. I've catered many events. I've worked and gave away food for many, many years. And during this COVID epidemic, I was getting ready to transition from my job at the Philadelphia Prevention Partnership as the Latino Partnership Institute's program coordinator. And during COVID, it was a little tough. And then I decided that then everything that happened with the whole Goya thing, and I was already making my own spices and cooking with my own stuff. So I took advantage of that and started making my own adobo and sazon and stuff like that, my adobo song, and I make my hot sauces. On top of that, I cater. So all the years that I've been catering and giving away food, because a lot of the times I was feeding the community, helping other organizations. And now it's like an opportunity that now I can do it for me. And it's something that I enjoy and love to do. If anyone knows me, they know I'm always about cooking and doing something. I've done the vegan, the plant-based, the keto, everything. I've tried to learn a little bit of everything, especially with our cultural foods. I am now residing most of the time in Puerto Rico, so I can say 75% of the time now. We've officially moved May 30th. We got our apartment in Isla Verde. So we are doing our transition. However, the majority of my clientele is still here in the States, in Philly and Delaware County. So I've been back and forth, but I'm really working on trying to get that moving. Now with COVID, with permits, and also I launched my website in August, right around my birthday. So I had that quote every year, back in, as women, we're humble, I was scared to take that bound. I've always had a job where it was, I always got paid, whatever it was, weekly, bi-weekly. And now it's like, now I'm depending on myself to make that money. So it is a little harder, but I get to do it for me and I get to do what I love to do. And thank God to all the people who I've met throughout my years in the community. I've already got my clientele because of them. So in August, I launched my website and it's been nonstop ever since. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. But it's thanks to a lot of my supporters throughout all these years. My family, friends, all you guys who continue to push me. It was that one quote that I saw, she believed she could, so she did. And I finally had to do it. I finally had to kind of believe in myself and get rid of all that fear to take that leap and just do it. And I did, and it's been working. It's been working.
Yay. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to share with you guys is I was also, I'm still an entrepreneur, but I also, like Mari, I opened up a restaurant in December of last year. We closed March 17th due to COVID, and we have not reopened. It just wasn't financially sustainable to open in New Jersey. Eating Inside opened up September 5th. And now everything is starting to close again. But my business partner, he projected this was going to happen. And we already lost a lot of money with food we couldn't even use anymore because it was vegan, it was plant-based and gluten-free. So with that being said, I wanted you guys to share with everyone else, what are your adversities and challenges as an entrepreneur and also during the COVID? Jennifer.
Okay, so I do all personal injury work. And so it's motor vehicle accidents is like 90% of what I do. And so when we went in total lockdown and people aren't really supposed to be on the roads and all that other stuff, it affected my pipeline. So a lot of people weren't getting into accidents. So before, I was signing up at least 2 or 3 clients a week. And that really dried up. So I went from signing up a bunch of clients to now like maybe twice a month, 3 times a month. And it just like dries up your pipeline. The other thing too is that the courts basically shut down. So I don't get paid unless I get my clients paid. So I'm not an attorney that works by the hour. So I'm diving in and showing up to work, working 7 days a week, and basically not getting paid because the court systems are down. So we're not having jury trials. We're not having arbitrations. We're not having all these things to push along these cases. So that affected me, but I took it as an opportunity to really get tight in my infrastructure and reach out to my old clients. I kind of dived into some things that I normally don't do, but then also took it as an opportunity to try to settle cases pre-litigation, which is also good for the clients because now a lot of the expenses are not coming out of their case, and there's a quicker recovery. So it was like a plus and minus. Plus in the sense of it gave me time to actually just step back from like the day-to-day signing people up and just like on the grind of it and step back and say, okay, listen, how do I grow? How do I get better at what I do? And how do I move forward? Before I'm like I have papers everywhere, you know, all that other stuff. Like I love to read a book. I don't like to be on a Kindle. Like I'm old school in that sense. But with COVID, I feel like now I'm turning more virtually. So everything is scanned and getting my clients. So I can work from anywhere. So when I go to Puerto Rico, I can still work. And so I don't know, you just end up pivoting. You have to. I mean, we're in that environment where when you're relying on yourself, you have to go out and make it happen regardless of what's going on.
Yes, yes, and yes. That thank you for sharing that. That was a lot, and I'm glad that you were able to share your adversities, how you know took an opportunity to reset and really just still move forward. You know, thank you, Jasmine. What about you with your 2 businesses, and what did you go through, your adversities, your challenges, and the whole COVID?
Well, with the salon business, I mean, clearly we were 100% shut down. We didn't return until July 1st. So from March 16th through July 1st, there was no income coming from any of those streams. So, because I felt a moral dilemma of not selling products online that no one should be working. So I wanted to play my role in maintaining the security of everyone. But also, you know, we couldn't provide services. I have employees. I'm responsible for so many financial things there. And it was just definitely a challenge. And resources were limited. And I had to really dive into my network marketing business, which thankfully it flourished during that time because there were so many people, much like me, that could only rely on that income. And also, we provided a product that people wanted that beauty experience or wanted to feel good while they were at home. So they were investing in their self-care, in their hair care, and in their facial routines and doing things to make themselves feel better. So thankfully, it was something that I already had my hand in and was able to introduce it to people that could create another stream of income. And even if they weren't affected directly with their jobs, or just realizing that it's important to have something else to fall back on. And even just like the mental health aspect, just having something to dive into to keep you occupied and busy. It was definitely something that helped me through that. But definitely that online business grew. And just really taking the time as far as the lash business goes to educate people. We've always operated at a very high sanitation level. Because that's just the nature of our business, but took that time to educate and send proper emails and just keep people updated with what we're doing. When we did reopen in July, it was a challenge. A lot of people a lot of our clients that weren't ready to let go of their lashes were looking into other businesses. So we lost a lot of clients. I probably got about 30% back. And we were just starting to feel normal again. And now we're facing another closure. But at least in this time, I was able to develop my online training and build up my online store. So I'm a little bit better prepared for this wave as far as that goes, to be able to maintain the finances and let the business at least cover itself. However, the services, at this point, we are not required to close. We do fall in that window that we're able to continue to operate, but of course we are proceeding with caution and taking it on a week-to-week basis. And we have the gift of options right now. We're prepared for it, and we can have the choice of whether or not we choose to proceed at this time, which is something that before we didn't have that option, and now we're like a little bit better equipped to do so.
Thank you. Mari, what about you? I know that you started your business during COVID. You had this amazing opportunity. You maximized on that opportunity. But what were some of your challenges and your adversities in starting the business?
Some of my challenges, my continued challenges.
Yeah,
so again, this is new to me. I never did business for me. I've always worked for other people. I've had my own catering that I would do on the side. However, I never really I did it for fun. So it was something that I enjoyed doing. So I never really looked at my gains and losses. I still had a job. So when I would cater, all right, this is how much the material cost me. This is how much I'm going to charge you, another $50 for my labor, not understanding what my worth was, right?
Right.
So when you say earlier, you said understanding the value of your work, the time that it takes for me to go shopping, to do everything that it takes. So I'm learning all that. The marketing, listen, it's hard because I'm still a one-man show. So it's a little tough. So I'm traveling back and forth from Puerto Rico to Philly because I'm offering stuff from the island. So I have to make sure that, I'm continuing that. Right now I'm working with, some folks. I'm working with some young woman who's kind of helping me with being my sous chef. And, I'm training some other folks. But then again, I have to be careful because of COVID. It's been tough. It's challenging. And I think to me right now, it's been more finding out what my real strengths and weaknesses are, what I need to learn, what I don't know. Because there's a lot that I don't know. And then there is stuff that I know, but I didn't know that it'd be like where to utilize it at, right? So, I mean, I've been blessed because I have some amazing people around me with my husband and everyone always pushing me. So the push I got, the motivation I got, now it's like, all right, now are you making time for you? Now are you, because I've been working 7 days a week nonstop. Like this week, it's 20-hour days trying to fulfill up. So I have to now learn how to make time for me. I have to, work on hiring other folks. What does it take to get all the permits? Because now with COVID, it's been difficult, even in Puerto Rico. I bought a food truck in January. We were getting ready to start and get it up and running, and then COVID hit. And Puerto Rico is a lot different than here in the States because there's nothing in writing or on a website on how to get a food truck up and running. Every little town has its own rules. It's not really what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
So it's learning the dynamics of all that. But then, working here in Philly, we learned the politics of certain things. I've been engaged long enough to know that that's sometimes how it works. But I still have a lot to learn, like the marketing, getting up and making sure my branding is where it needs to be. Making sure that my accounts, like the receipts, I was never good with like saving my own receipts because it's my stuff, I used to do a lot of community outreach and I would donate half of the stuff. So now it's like remembering, all right, you have to save this receipt, you have to do this, what's your expenses versus what you're making. So it's a lot to learn, but I'm having fun with it. My biggest thing right now is learning how to make that me time, right? Because I don't want to, although yes, I'm a hard worker. Anybody who knows me, I'm in for whatever it is. Let's go, let's do it. However, I need to learn how to make sure that I'm making that time for family, making sure that I'm setting that time for me, making sure that, health-wise, everything else is good, because you can go and go and go and go, but you also have to make that time for yourself, 'cause, so that the burnout doesn't come. Like, I'm worried about the burnout.
Right, trying to figure out the work-life balance. That's probably the one of the most difficult parts, especially when you begin the business.
Yes.
Work-life balance. So I'm going to go to Iola, but before we go to Iola, I want to ask Jennifer and Jasmine, in terms of work-life balance, what advice can you give Madeline so that she knows how to juggle the two and make time for herself without, impacting her financials?
Or turning to wine.
Jasmine, what advice can you give to Madeline, that work-life balance?
Well, I have a layered answer. I think when you're building, it's understanding that balance doesn't really exist, but knowing when your body is asking you to rest, that you have to check out. You have to take care of yourself. I'm definitely like a person I'm just on all the time. I'm always working. But when I feel like I need to check out, recognize that. Be good to yourself. And I do these things, I coach these things to my team as well. I give them credit for, did you take care of yourself this week? Did you, paint your nails? Did you do your facial? Did you treat yourself? Did you do your hair? You have to take those things. You're allowed to watch a movie sometimes. You have to definitely check out. But I think when you're building, it's just very hard, especially in a time right now, where if you have momentum for your business, that you can feel you can feel the effects of checking out for too long. So I think it's just understanding that it is okay to feel that, but I don't think balance really exists when you're building. Once you have some consistency and you put people in place, delegate when possible, but there's certain aspects of your business you just have to do yourself. And that's just me being completely honest. I'm looking forward to a day where I have more balance in my life, but I think that right now I'm still in the building stages, but I'm very close to where I want to be, where I can feel that I can step back a little bit more. But that's just kind of how I deal with it. But know and recognize when your body's asking you to just check out, and your mind is everything. You have to check out sometimes.
Iola, as a former entrepreneur, what advice do you want to share with Madeline and anybody else?
Well, you guys are talking about work-life balance, and I agree that there is no work-life balance. There are choices that you make, right? But one of the things that I always coached my clients to do is to create systems in your business. And when you create systems and you have other people who you trust, but who know things, you can step away. I had a client one time, and this isn't a great story, but she was leaving a client's office. She stepped on the elevator and there was no elevator. And down she went, and she was unconscious for like 45 days, right? And in those 45 days, nobody knew the code to her computer. Nobody knew anything about her bank accounts. Nobody knew anything about any of her clients. So no one could step in and be helpful to her while she was recovering. And so I want you all to take that as a word of warning. You have to set up systems. You have to have some people that you can trust. You have to have your computer codes written down. And even if you put them somewhere where you can tell somebody, if something happens to me, go to this book. All of my codes are there. Talk to this person. They know. Because then, it doesn't have to be something terrible that happens. You might want to take a vacation, and you can then go on vacation. So I want to encourage all of the panelists, as well as people listening, to when you start, you create small systems, but as you grow, you want to have systems in business so that you can take off. If you get up and you want to stay in bed for the day, you can do that because you've got your systems in place. So I wanted to share that. The other thing that I wanted to share is that, the Office of Economic Opportunity is part of the Commerce Department. And during COVID, the Commerce Department did a great deal for businesses. But what I also learned was that minority businesses, and especially women-owned businesses, needed to have three things in place. They needed to have their back end in place. So by that, I mean they needed to have their financial records in place. And if you don't have financial records, now is the time to get them together because you're going to need them when you go get. Well, there were tons of grants available, but you needed financial statements. There were loans available, but you needed financial statements. So you have to have your back end, your financial statements together. The second thing that you want to do is to build relationships, but especially with your banker, right? Wherever you keep your money, whatever bank it is, you should be able to go into the bank and people should know your name. That is how well you should be acquainted with your banker. Because when these opportunities come up, you want them to know who you are and what your business does. So you're not going in and explaining it the first time when there's some type of traumatic incident or there's a health crisis like it is right now. And the third thing that you want to do is to build relationships with each other, because you can come together and fulfill needs. I've seen, if you look on TV, you see different caterers coming together and pulling Christmas baskets together and selling them. You see different professions coming together and working together. So you want to think about who you could work with now and begin to build those relationships. So if something like this should happen again, and unfortunately, I feel like it really will happen again. If something like this should happen again, you are all set to begin to, pivot a little faster.
That's awesome advice that you have given, Iola. Iola, are you willing to share maybe some resources for anyone listening and these young ladies in reference to, for small businesses? Can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm going to direct you to the Commerce Department's website.
Okay.
And it is www.phila.gov/commerce. And within the Commerce Department, there are many, many different facets. But I will also give you all my email address because if you've got specific questions, I can direct you to the right person. My email address is iola.harper, HARPER, at phila, PHILA.gov, iola.harper@phila.gov. You can reach out to me and I will find the proper resource for you if you don't want to just kind of go on the website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer, what about you? What would you share?
So work balance. I have not perfected yet because I agree with Jasmine. It's right now, especially Madi, we're both like one woman shows. I personally am just the only attorney. And then I have a virtual assistant and someone part-time helping me out. But legitimately, I'm the secretary, paralegal, attorney, and everything in between all of that, and the accounting. And it's because, when you're building right now, like I don't feel comfortable, hiring someone full-time because I'm still building. So until I get to that number that I want, I'm not going to hire someone full-time. The other thing too, that I wanted to just kind of step back a little bit. If you're in a job right now and you're thinking about a business, there's so many things that you could do right now while you're getting paid, while you're under the, cloak of somebody else, like getting your logo together, getting your website together, getting your PO box, getting your accounts together, like all these things I did before I jumped off because I didn't want to not scramble, but I wanted to develop my business while I was still getting paid. So when I left my law firm, I had a location, I had my accounts, I had letterhead, I had a logo, I had a website. I had just like the basic things. So then day one, I left them on a Friday. By Monday, I was already like rolling. Now, not perfect, but I was rolling. I was like signing up clients. I had like forms already. I had all these things that I I had my phone number. I had all these things that you could do while you're getting paid by someone else. So don't start, like, I don't think that your first day of business should be when you quit. And that's when you start like doing all these things, because you could do it before you jump off. But sometimes life moves for you, like, you know, in situations where COVID happens and you have no other choice, just got fired and now you're starting. But don't be afraid to like reach out to other people. I sat down with so many different people, like partners at law firms, associates. I sat down with so many people and interviewed them and just say, hey, listen, solo practitioners like myself. I just said, hey, listen, what can I do right now to build my business? Or what mistakes did you make that, you know, you could tell me not to make? And so I really, before I jumped off on my own, I did all these little interviews and met with people that looked like me, people who didn't look like me, people in huge firms, people in small firms. So you just want to make sure whatever business you go in, do a little research by interviewing and sitting down with people.
That's a good segue, and that was a good wealth of information that you shared also, because one of my next questions is, what advice would you give a person that wants to start a business? So you just shared a lot of information, but let's say, Iola, what would you share if someone, in addition to what Jennifer said, if they wanted to start a business, what advice would you give them?
Well, if I'm assuming that they know what type of business they want to start. You want to start small. I always recommend you stair step your business, which means you start it small and you grow it. And you want to start with the basic stuff that Jennifer talked about. You need a website, you need a business card with a brand, and you need yourself. Women are incredible marketers. We are incredible marketers. You may not think you're a great marketer, but we are marketers by nature. So you want to have those basic things covered, and then you want to stair step your business. I also recommend that if you're going to start a business, that you have an attorney and an accountant ready and available for you. So those are like that's the bottom line that you need to start your business. And from there, you start to build relationships. You may want to join a chamber of commerce. The Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber is a great organization to begin to network and to begin to say, this is what I do. How about hiring me? The last thing that I want to say is that women, and it has come up in this conversation, are naturally modest. You have to ask for business. You have to ask for business. Did I say that again? You have to ask for business. It's not going to just come to you. And so you use the website, you use your business card, you use the brochure, and you talk about yourself. I'm going to say it again. You talk about yourself. And little by little, your business will grow. Now, I agree with Jennifer. You might be thrown into a situation where you have to start a business. You could get fired, you could get laid off, something could happen, and you're scrambling. And in that case, you scramble, but you will be all right. But I just want you to remember that you have everything that it takes to be successful as a woman. Now, I don't know about men because I've never been a man. But I know that women, I know that we can, I'm going to use a really old term that some of you probably never heard of, but we can bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan.
I think we all heard of that.
Okay. So you have to know that you can do this. And every day you have to get up and you have to look in the mirror and you have to say, I can do this, and know that you can. And then you have relationships and you have colleagues to talk to, but you can do it. Now, I have a lot more advice to give in terms of starting a business, but in terms of if you're thinking about starting a business, I just want you to know that you can do it. And in this environment, it has never been a better time to start your own business, believe it or not. Yeah. So I'll leave it there.
Can I just say one thing? I'm sorry to jump in, but budget. I was just going to say, create a budget and just an outline. What I did okay, how much was my office space? How much was insurance? How much was paper? So just come together with a budget. The first person that I sat down with, and I was just like, how much do I need to save in order to start my own law firm? He told me 100,000. I'm like, 100,000? And so I started beginning to think of just like everything that goes into a firm and like all the expenses. And so, as you guys know, I work on a contingency fee agreement. So I'm putting up the cost for experts, for getting all the medical records, for all these things. And so I'm investing sometimes up to $5,000 to $10,000 on one case, and I could lose that money. It's like casino time, right? So I was trying to think of creative ways for me not to put up all that money up front. So I actually started my law firm, don't tell anybody, with $10,000 line of credit. And 2 years later, I just been building it off of that original $10,000 line of credit. That's it. But not everybody could do that. It's just you have to like be creative. And I think women in general, we're like Martha Stewart's. Like we make things happen, and you give us like a little burger, and we could fill and feed a village, you know? So we're just built that way. So be encouraged. If you don't have that $100,000, be encouraged that your dream could really start with a little bit of money and a whole bunch of passion.
Yeah. And I just want to add one other thing. There are people that are going to tell you you have to have a business plan.
That was my next question. Go ahead. You guys are reading my mind. Yes.
So I'm going to say that you don't have to have a typical business plan where you write your executive summary, your marketing plan, your operations plan, but you do have to have a plan. And so your plan, as Jennifer intimated, should include a budget. But there are many, many other forms of business plans that are 3 pages or 4 pages long, where you can get out your ideas, plan what you want to do, write down how much it's going to cost without spending months and months writing a business plan. So, you can write a business plan, but you really don't need a business plan. You need a plan to do business.
Thank you. Jasmine, anything you want to add to what they mentioned?
Yes, to go along with what Jennifer was saying, there are actually what both you ladies were saying. When you're building your business and you have to get creative and you don't have that money, I'm always thinking like a network marketer. There are other people building their businesses with the services that you might need. You can collaborate and barter when possible. If you need a logo, literally, there are people who are starting their local businesses on Instagram. You can make, get it for a discounted price, or promotion is literally a form of payment for a lot of people. And you're then offering your services to them in exchange for what you need. So definitely get creative and support other small entrepreneurs that are looking to build their businesses as well. And I also did that. I stayed at my medical job for as long as possible. I had my salon open for an entire year before I actually left. And I was doing lashes for a while before that. And luckily, I had a job that was very supportive and knew what I was doing. But I kept my full-time, or rather, I transitioned out of it for as long as I could until I physically couldn't do it anymore. It was just a lot. And also health benefits. So I was trying to maintain that for as long as possible. But definitely, if you are able to plan, keep that steady income, because it allows you to grow your business responsibly and get it as stable as possible. But of course, when you are up against the wall, beautiful things also happen when you're, applying pressure. So, but yes, plan as much as possible. But I wanted to make that point because we put so much pressure on ourselves with, we need to take loans and we have to do this, that, and the other. I built my business literally with just hard work and saving and cutting corners, doing what I could myself. I built my own website, and then just knowing where to barter. Building the network was definitely getting influencers into, giving them my services in exchange for posting and exposure. So that was my marketing, actually giving the services. So get creative and utilize other, people building just like you.
Thank you. Mari, I wanted to give you the opportunity to digest a lot of this information.
I am.
Being an entrepreneur, and I could see you glowing. And I said, I'm going to ask a lot of the questions, and Mari's going to benefit from this as well as other people and each other. So I wanted to give you that opportunity because you're new. You started it in COVID. Although, when we're new in business, sometimes we're very amateurish, but they're sharing a wealth of information. They have a lot of experience. So I wanted you to digest a lot of this, but I want to give you an opportunity, to ask a question or two from any of these ladies that you might want to know right now.
So it's crazy because I'm listening to all of them, and it's kind of everything that I'm kind of struggling with or going through, right? So like even with Jasmine, so transitioning out of my old job, I just finished using my comp time or vacation time and all that to leave. And in between then, I did get my logo done because I have a friend who, thank God, was amazing. So he helped me do my logo. He helped me with my website. He helped me learn it. I'm not an administrative person. Anybody who knows me, I'm an on the ground type of person. Let me go and tell me what you got to do and I'll do it, but don't keep me sitting down too long. So this has been tough for me because I've had to learn how to look. This is your business now. Nobody's going to yell at you, but if you fail, it's you failing, right? So I've had to learn a lot with it. So as you guys are talking, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I went through that. Oh my God, yeah, that, the budgeting. I'm still working on that. Iola, you sound like my husband. Yo, where's your budget plan? Where's this? And as I'm moving and it's growing, I'm learning so much because it did take off. Like there was an article that came out in the paper the same week that I launched I didn't even fully open the web page, and the article came out and it fully launched. And I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do all this by myself? And then like you were saying, Iola, having a backup plan. And as you're saying, like, wait, the only one who knows my password is my husband, but he's going to have to try and figure them out because I have so many passwords. And just saying that now I'm thinking, wow, God forbid I was to get COVID or something and I'm down, like what's going to happen? So that I am taking in because I don't have that in place, because I'm that one man show, like Jen saying. So, and it's tough, like we're women and this is our baby, and it's hard to kind of let go of some of those Marines because I'm branding. So I got to make sure my stuff is tight. My food's got to taste like this. That's all been a little challenging. But I mean, and listening to you guys with some of the stuff, this is absolutely very helpful to me. I'm definitely going to be hitting y'all up after this because I'm going to need more advice. And I do appreciate, everything that you guys can share. I don't know, like, what you know and you don't know what you don't know. So there's so much I don't know. So in just listening to the conversations is where I can pick up and say, wow, I didn't even think of that. Like even Iola saying, like, we're all our own marketers. I can tell you one thing, the hardest thing for me is asking anyone to support me. You guys know, a lot of you know me. I've done plenty of fundraisers. I've collected money for Puerto Rico, for anything. I've done outreach, but to do it for myself has been the hardest. Even like pushing my own products. Like I know my products are the bomb. I know my food is the bomb. However, it's hard because we are modest, right? A little on the humble side. And it's like, all right. And then another thing I got to work on is like, I've been so used to giving stuff away. I can't keep giving stuff away anymore. I have to make sure, look, I give you a discount, I give you a break, but I got to make sure that I'm cutting that I'm making my ends meet too. So it's challenging. I have to change the way I think about things, the way I've seen things, and the way I've done things in the past. Because now it's my business, it's our business, so it's challenging. However, I'm enjoying it, I'm loving it, I'm loving this conversation because what you guys are saying is actually what I need. And I appreciate it.
Mari, but this is another thing that you said, discounts. We have to get to the point where our price is our price. My husband and I own Lou and Choose, and every time our friends come in or somebody comes in, they're like, come on, man, let me get this $5 drink for $3.
Yes.
Okay, can you calm down? It's $5. Like,
Hey, anybody else? Like, that's our biggest thing. Like mine. Like why are you going to come and nickel and dime me?
Right.
I'm a small business. I'm trying to make ends meet. And someone else from somewhere else is going to tell you they want $1,000. You want to give them $1,000. And here you want to nickel and dime me? And I'm charging you $750? Come on, man. So, I mean, that's something that it sucks, but it's something in our community. Like it just happens. And I'm learning, like, I can't, it is what it is. Like, let me tell you I got to get up. I got to go to the supermarket. I got to buy the stuff. I got to take it off the shelves, put it in the cart, put it on the belt, get charged for it, put it in the bags, take it into the car, take it out the car, unload it. Like, there's a process to that.
You should be compensated
Right. appropriately
for that.
Right. And that's just
have to be
the learning, right? The learning, and then educating others, because they don't know what they don't know. Because now I'm like, all right, so this is what I got to do to make what you want. What do you think that's worth? Obviously you don't want to do it because it's a lot of work. So now you want to nickel and dime me for the hard work that I got to put in. I'm not bartering. When you guys talked about bartering, I'm all about that. Yeah, especially with the business in Puerto Rico, right? So I'm working with local farmers that are not, I'm trying to go to local folks who are trying to eat too. I got to go get my cilantro. When my father runs out of bananas and plantains, I got to go reach out to another farmer. And I learned the bartering system in Puerto Rico. When I go there, I remember the one year we went, my father wanted to eat some rabbit stew, and he had a friend who grows the rabbits. So he said, all right, I'll get rabbits, but you come up and eat. I'll give you the avocado. I'll give you everything else that we need. And we all kind of broke bread and shared it together, but we bartered about it. We have avocados, we have bananas. I'll give you this, you give me that. In Puerto Rico, like I'm learning, I'm seeing that. And even here, like I'm working with some young folks. I'm working with Tiffany Sierra, who kind of was trying to do her own thing during COVID. She lost her job. She worked at the Sugar House Casino. And once that shut down, she lost her job. She was getting ready to be a sous chef. So I'm like, you have your strengths and I have mine. There's some things that I can kill. And then there's certain things that how do we make that together so that everybody wins? And the hardest part that I've learned is that it's hard to find that, where everybody wins. My husband's always telling me, you need to have your kitchen cabinet. You need to have your own kitchen cabinet. And you do, I'm learning that, as I go. Like, it's hard when you've worked with so many people and so many people have kind of kicked you and pushed you to the side to kind of establish that. However, it is important. It is important to have somebody say, yo, Chica, your head is getting too big. Or this is not working for you. Like, how about this? How about that? So I'm excited because I'm looking to kind of also continue to pick your brains to help me, because right now I am not where the business is going to be total, because I can't keep up with the demand. And so I have that fear, right? I have that fear that I have like right now, I am stressed to the max because I have to make over 1,000 pasteles before Thanksgiving. And it's like, it's awesome, right? Because the business is good. Everybody knows my product. Everybody knows my brand. They know my food. I have my set clients. However, now I'm working 20-hour days to make sure that I give everybody what they need. So I'm learning, but I also understand I'm growing my business, and I also understand that this is that time of the year that this is what I do. Nobody makes pasteles like that anymore, and it's cultural. It's something that we enjoy. So I know that the next couple of weeks I'm gonna be grinding. However, I need to understand too that once this grind is over, in order to make the business keep moving, so that I need to start focusing on hiring folks. Like, I have some folks in Puerto Rico. I'm finishing my fogo and stuff out there so that I can also, I want to support other people. I want to hire locals and local people to help me. However, right now it's a little difficult because if I hire, then I'm not going to be able to buy my supplies that I'm going to need. So right now I'm stuck at that, growing, right? And I don't want to grow too fast where it's like now I'm overwhelmed and I quit. I want to make sure I don't want to chase the money. I want to chase the business. I want to make sure that the business is growing, but it's growing to a level that I can keep up with it. I don't want it to blow out of the park and then I'm like, I can't do it.
So
those are my struggles, ladies. Help!
I mean, we've actually kind of used a 2-hour window for this, and we're actually coming to the end of this. But what I wanted to share also was, I think Iola pointed this out, we should not be afraid to ask for business. A month ago, we were at El Sol Gala, and I had a conversation with Jennifer, and I was letting her know that I was looking for work. And she asked me what I did and could I share my resume with her. And out of that conversation, I actually earned a client. So I've been working with this client, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you because I needed to have a client, So don't be afraid to ask. I wasn't looking to ask, but when she said, well, what do you need? What are you looking for? She was animated, willing to help. And that's what we need to be doing more of. The women, Black and brown women, we need to be supporting. We need to be empowering one another. See how we can help each other. I remember telling Madi last year that I was looking to open a restaurant. And she said, hey, let me know. I will help for free. She put herself out there. And I appreciated when she said that. So we need to be working together, empowering one another, and just seeing how we can assist or connect people the way we should be connecting people with no hate. There's not enough room for the hate. We need to just be empowering and helping each other and see, how we can maximize on every opportunity. I saw one person make Eugene Martinez. He made a comment. He says, you ladies are amazing, doing a great job. The committee is blessed to have you all. Best of luck. Latinas with the platform are on fire. Thank you, Eugene. That was so sweet of you. I think we have, we have Mara Gonzalez. She says, absolutely true. So inspiring. Thank you, guys. If anybody has a quick question before we close out, we have 4 more minutes. We can continue to chat. But we're just going to give people, if anybody has a question or a comment they want to mention. This has been so truly amazing. The fact that we can all, chat it up after 4 o'clock and just really share information, share adversities, share any challenges, share resources. And just, I'm here for anybody, whoever wants to talk, any information or any opinions or advice. I'm here, and I'm sure all of you are willing to give advice too. Iola, is there something you look like you want to say something. You just look like it.
Can we drop our information on the chat just so people have it?
Everybody drop your information. Jasmine, Jennifer, Madi, Iola, drop it like it's hot. Let's go.
I'm on it. I'll put my website on there too.
Awesome. This is what it's about. Let's get your information out there. Oh, great. This has been great, guys. Let me see if you guys are dropping your information. There you go. If anybody has any questions out there, we have 2 more minutes to share. If not, we're going to be closing down, but this has been really, really a lot of fun. Anybody have any last minute comments they want to make before we
Madi, you'll be making 1,002 because I need 2. And Jasmine, I need my lashes done.
Me too. I do too.
There you go. You got 2 clients. You got 1.
Yes.
There to see if there's any loans or anything else that you could help me with, grants, so I'll be hitting you up too. So
okay.
Yes. That too. All the above.
Madi, I wanted to ask you that. I know that you're looking at overhead costs, but you're going to, from my opinion, you're going to kill yourself in just doing a 1-woman show. Yeah. You're going to kill yourself. So you might want to look at a possible, small business loan, with good rates that you pay later, but you really need to look into something because you don't want to kill yourself. You don't want to get sick and overtired. So.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's something I'm working on. So the good thing about it is, the work that I've done as a community organizer, I'm not doing this. I am in certain things alone, but that's my fault because I have so many people who want to help me, but I want things done my way. So, right. And that's another thing that I'm learning as we go through this. I can't micromanage. There's certain things there's so many people who want to help me. And I'm blessed for that. And it's just me now finally taking that step back and say, all right, I got to give somebody my pastel recipe. Yeah, I got to share my coquito recipe with somebody. But then I'm like, guess what? It doesn't matter because if you don't make it with the same love and passion, I can give you my ingredients and I can give you my recipe and you can try and make it. But if you don't shake it the right special way and you don't watch it a specific way, it's not going to taste like mine.
That's right.
Listen, there's plenty for everybody. There's so many people who have talent. There's so many people who can cook, and everybody has their strengths, right? And everybody has something that they're great at. And it's just learning now to finally say, all right, listen, here it is. This is how I want it. This is how I like it. Because I've had to work that even with my assistant. Like I had to learn, all right, step away and let her do it. You know, I have a specific way that my patelas get wrapped, right? So you got to wrap it at the corner, you got to fold it. So it's just learning to give some of that stuff up. But, you know, this is new for me. This is new for me. But I'm learning and I'm understanding that these are some of my weaknesses that I have to work on in order for me to get.
And that's okay. It's really an area of improvement. It's not a weakness. But guys, I hate to close this down because we have so much to talk about, but it's 5 o'clock. This has been amazing. I'm so glad you guys share this late afternoon with me. I hope you have a good holiday, a great weekend. This is Lisi G with Latinx by Soy Latino, and we got to go. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Hazlo por los pequeños y por tus mayores, para que cuando todo pase, no falte nadie.
Por lo que más quieras, manos.
Pensilvania se une contra el COVID.
Pagado con los fondos de los contribuyentes de Pensilvania.
We will never know how many friends and family didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. We'll never know how many lives we saved because we wear masks, wash our hands, and keep our distance. We'll never know exactly who we help when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know that we did all we could to save people from a dangerous pandemic. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
Hazlo para que los negocios sigan abiertos y puedas mantener tu trabajo.
Por lo que más quieras, mantén la distancia social.
Pensilvania se une contra el